When job hunting, it can be helpful to set up informal chats with people in your field who have jobs that fit what you're looking for or work at companies you're interested in. These chats can be helpful in giving you information you can't always find anywhere else about the kind of work they do and the company they work for. Sometimes they can even lead to referrals, but don't go into them expecting that. The number one mistake I see when people request informal chats is sending vague messages on LinkedIn. Things like, I want to pursue a career in bioinformatics and would like your advice. Unless you know this person already, that kind of message is probably too vague. People are busy. Give them something concrete. I'm currently a staff bioinformatician at an academic lab, and I'm looking to move into industry. I see you had a similar career switch and would love to hear your experience with X, Y, and Z, whatever you're wondering about. It's good to say up front what you want to talk about because it shows that you are serious, it shows you will come prepared to the conversation, and if they're too busy to talk, they might still answer your questions if they can. Once you get to the informal interview, a common mistake there is to ask, again, vague questions. Things like, how do you like working at your company? Again, it's too vague, and unless they know you, they're not about to reveal to a stranger that they actually hate the place and wish they worked somewhere else. So before you go into an informal interview, figure out what you're actually curious about. Don't think of informal interviews as a strategic thing you check off a list. Use the opportunity to come up with questions where the answers can actually meaningfully change what you end up doing. That means act like a scientist. Develop a hypothesis that you can prove or disprove through these conversations. For instance, if you're thinking of going into product management, don't just ask, how do you like being a product manager? Maybe say, I'm currently a bioinformatician, but I found myself doing more and more product work like X, Y, Z, and I really enjoy it. Then maybe the product managers you speak with will tell you that actually at their last 3 jobs as a PM, they mostly did X, but Y and Z was done by a different role. Maybe a program manager. That's the kind of insight you don't want to wait years to discover on your own after going into product management. Sometimes informal chats can even lead to referrals down the line, but don't expect this to be a rubber stamp way to get referred. I'm sure some people will gladly refer you from one conversation, but remember that the person referring you may be asked if you've worked together before and their thoughts on the quality of your work. The strength of the referral definitely matters, so start with trying to get referrals from people you've actually worked with or who know your work. But in a bad market like this, where every job gets hundreds of resumes, you basically shouldn't expect to hear back at all unless you have connected with a human at the company too. So try to find whatever connection you might have into a company, even if it's a former colleague of your former colleague, or maybe someone there who went to the same grad school as you. Any connection you can mention as you reach out on LinkedIn and ask some concrete advice can be helpful to get your foot in the door. Finally, it's often recommended that you end networking calls by asking the person, anyone else I should talk to? I think you need to be very careful with this. They just spent an hour of their limited time talking to you, answering your questions, giving you feedback, imparting advice, only to be met with, cool, thanks, but who else should I talk to? If you do need to meet more people through the person you're talking to, try to make it more natural and part of the conversation. Let's say you're talking to that PM we mentioned earlier, and realize that another role like a program manager does those Y and Z tasks you enjoyed more. You can ask if they know any program managers they could introduce you to, so you can learn more about that role too. Also, I'd be remiss not to mention that all these strategies work much better if you're not only nice, but you have also done good work and built cool things. It makes it so much less risky for people to refer you. Remember that every time someone contacts someone else they know on your behalf, they're using some relationship capital and some of their built-up trust with that person on you. How well you do and how awesome your work is definitely reflects back on the people who referred you or introduced you. So before they do, they will be looking for clues to whether it's worth it to take that risk on you. That means that if you have done great work and made cool things before, your chances of getting introductions rises significantly. So I always tell people who are looking for jobs that while they send out resumes and talk to people, They should also be investing time in building up their portfolio of impressive work, visible on the internet, and of course make it easy to find on their LinkedIn page. Let us know in the comments if you've had any great conversations with someone that clarified your next steps or helped you land a great job. And if you haven't yet seen the video where we reviewed 10 CVs from our audience, we'll put that here so you can check it out. And otherwise, YouTube thinks that you will like this video. See you next time.